everyone, welcome to Maxim Foods Inside Track. I know last recording we're in the midst of tropical cyclone Alfred here in Brisbane. It has come and gone, and thanks to all the emergency services and around Brisbane and southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales who work tirelessly to keep everyone safe. So yeah, it's good we've moved on. The footy season started now, so there's blue skies ahead for us. Let's have a look at the dairy industry. Starting off with whole milk powder, so there was a flat result last night on the auction. This was disguised a little with EU pricing. That did help average out the overall pricing, and the result was just marginally up from last fortnight. There was some bearish sentiment around whole milk powder. The Kiwi whole milk wasn't successful on the O'Neill tender, so there was a few rumblings that there may be some good supply in New Zealand. However, demand still keeps kicking on, and that pricing remains relatively stable. In terms of a short to medium term outlook, New Zealand coming into the end of season, all things are pointing for a continued stable environment for whole milk powder. A similar story on skim milk powder. Flat result last night. There was some higher demand and pricing on the EU skim milk powder. New Zealand was down a little bit from last auction. The Pulse result last week was -6%, so there was bearish sentiment around this week's GDT. So an overall good result. In terms of a short to medium term outlook, we have the US with very good production of skim or non-fat at the moment. The EU coming into their new season, so there should be some product around. So we are looking for looking at a reasonably bearish outlook on skim milk powder. Having a look at butterfat, so yeah, always a very topical one and very hard to read. In the US, there has been an abundance of cream in the last fortnight or month, which has really put some pressure on that butterfat pricing. Have we seen that in the global market? Yes and no. I guess tariffs and trade flow impacts are yet to be seen on US exported butter. In terms of the EU, start of season once again, production looking pretty good, cream levels good as well. So we've got some good supply out of the US and EU. In terms of New Zealand, Australia, obviously coming into the winter months, supply, especially on butter, isn't as great. So yeah, that demand for NZMP specific unsalted butter and salted butter is still very high, and really keeping that pricing up. So in terms of oceanic or New Zealand and Australian butter, we still see quite a bullish outlook for the next 3 to 6 months. Having a look at cheese over in the US, see a relatively stable market, leaning towards a little bearish. Some good supply, and demand has been a little quiet domestically and globally for US cheese, so pricing's been relatively stable. Looking over to the EU, once again starting up for the season there, production will be good and in full swing over the next 2 to 3 months, so question mark on whether demand will balance that out. In New Zealand, Australia, demand for domestic cheese has been good in Australia, so retail demand has picked up and food service demand, so some positive signs in the market there. So we have seen New Zealand and Australian cheese creeping up in price, especially in the domestic markets in Oz. Moving across to whey powder and proteins. Sweet whey's been quite stable. Protein it continues to be strong. WPC and WPI in good demand. Some real question marks over trade flow and tariffs there. In terms of the US-China relationship, there is a lot of, traditionally a lot of PC and PI that goes into China, into those markets. So whether that will affect trade flow and we may see more US product in other markets remains to be seen, but it's definitely something to look for. Thanks very much for listening to today's Inside Track. Hope you have a great fortnight. Look after yourself and one another.